some unusual places that you've been. And let's be honest.
And oh man, you know, this question can be answered in so many different ways. Like I've been to unusual countries, things like that. But I'm just gonna tell you guys about an experience. When I first moved to New York, the very first party I ever went to, it was in the middle of nowhere. There was like a secret doorman. Walk in, the ground is covered in sand. All the tables are made of upside down coral. There was a fish tank across the entire wall. And inside that fish tank was a topless mermaid swimming around. Talk about unusual and fun. And I was coming from downtown Vancouver to downtown New York City. And that was the biggest change of my life.
Wow, that's incredible.
A cool party to be.
It was so much fun. Definitely. I'm not going to lie. I was like, okay, I'm here to stay.
Yeah. Was that an all-nighter?
Who's next? I want to hear somebody else's story.
I do too.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with something that occurred for some reason occurred to me from that, although it has nothing to do with anything like that. But for me, one of the unusual places that I have been, it was part of an amusement park in Japan, which is a normal place. And Japan loves their horror stuff. So they have some amazing haunted houses and things like that. And I don't go near them with a 10-foot pole because I just can't do that. But everyone convinced me that this one, it's not a ride because it's an experience, would be okay. So what we did was we walk in, and it was like walking into a jail. They had actual like prison bars on all of the things, and you went in, it was all dark, and you went and sat at a bench and you put on headphones and everything is really dark. You can barely see the people around you, and you're just sitting at a bench, and you know that you're in this prison with these headphones on, and it was an audio experience. And the whole thing was you had footsteps coming, and the guy's coming, and he's breathing, and then he's like at your neck, and it was like one of those things, you get some wind, and then all of a sudden he strikes up a chainsaw. And the saving grace for me was that it was all in Japanese, and I'm basically fluent in Japanese, but my emotions don't trigger as much with it, so it didn't scare me as much as it could have. But as soon as this chainsaw started up, one of the other guys in our group started screaming. We could tell it was him, and it was so funny. They made the whole thing bearable to me, but he screamed the whole rest of the whole experience. But yeah, that was probably one of the most unusual things that I've experienced, places that I've been.
That's amazing. I want to do that. I want to do both of those two things for sure. I had an intense experience. It was incredible and kind of scary. In a previous life, I still am, but I don't do it anymore. I'm a Braille transcriber. So I was creating tactile graphics, so raised diagrams for the visually impaired and blind students in BC. And at that time, the BC government had a connection with Thailand, and they wanted to learn more because their high school students that were visually impaired or blind didn't get to go on into the sciences because they didn't have the materials. So they had asked a group of us to go into Bangkok, Thailand, and teach some of the teachers of the visually impaired how to use our materials. Long story short, I get chosen to be part of this group. I went with some of our teachers of the visually impaired from BC, and I went to do the tactile graphics portion of that. Incredible, staying in, downtown Bangkok, going to the university every day. And anyway, one of the things they wanted us to do was to train some of the women in the maximum security women's prison to create, and they have a hierarchy there. So the wealthier families, their daughters that are in that prison are in like kind of a different unit, and it's temperature controlled, and they do jobs. And so we were supposed to go in there and teach them. So I'll just say the one moment was when I was getting like frisked down and they have this little square in the wall, and it's this thick cement wall, and you have to stoop down, and lift your leg up and go through, and then it closes behind you, like, and I'm looking around and I'm in this other universe, basically. It's the same prison. There was a movie, Nicole Kidman got thrown in this prison, and that was the prison that I actually went into and had this big meeting. And anyway, crazy. It's a long story, but I'll leave it at that.
That's
Wow.
crazy.